It is no secret that I'm not a big fan of horror remakes. I find most of them to just be unnecessary and pointless, but every once in a while you get one that's actually pretty good. There are also some horror movies that I think should be remade, so join me as I rank the top 5 horror movies that deserve a remake on this episode of Ranking Rumble. Welcome back to WWH. My name is Andrew Dreamer. I've definitely talked about remakes on this channel in the past, but not quite in this way. I think I talked about some of my favorite and least favorite horror remakes, which you should definitely check out after you get done watching this. I'll go ahead and link one of them right up here. But today I want to talk about horror movies that should be remade in some way. Again, not a big fan of remakes, so when I say these movies should get remakes, I mean I would like to see the stories updated in a way that offers something new and unique. Otherwise, what's the point? There's nothing worse to me than a remake for the sake of a cash grab. It's disingenuous. So, with that being said, I'm going to do my best to offer some sort of new ideas for each of the films on this list. Or at least kind of go over what I would like to see out of them. And remember, we all have different opinions, so maybe a movie that you think should be remade isn't on my list, so just go ahead and let me know what remake you want to see. Also, before we dive in, I just want to give a huge shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for winning the Super Bowl this past Sunday. I've been a fan my whole life, and I love seeing the success of this team. Go Birds! It's almost bell time, but first, be sure to body slam that subscribe button as hard as you can so you never miss any of the hard-hitting, chill-inducing 5-star matches we have here at WWH. Alright, it's time to grab your popcorn and make your way to your seat. Let's head down to the ring. Starting us off at number 5 is Creature from the Black Lagoon. This movie, which happens to be one of my favorite Universal monster movies, was released in 1959. Now, I started planning this video before I actually learned that there already is a remake in the works with James Wan possibly directing. I'm intrigued by this and I have high hopes for it. But regardless of it already being announced, this movie 100% deserves a remake. The story could be updated in a lot of ways. Science has come a long way since 1959, and I feel like they'll do something really cool with that aspect of it. I do have this fear that they'll just regurgitate the same story with minimal changes, but the one thing that gives me hope is that James Wan is involved. I think he'll come up with some good stuff. He's done a lot of great work over the years, working with Leigh Whannell to create Saw and Insidious, and seeing what Leigh Whannell has done with his takes on classic stories, I feel like James Wan would probably do the same. I'm already contemplating what the creature could possibly look like in this new version, and I just gotta say, I really hope that they do go with practical instead of CGI. That's the one thing that I really want to see here. With this one though, I don't want to speculate too much because I feel like the more I theorize, the more I kind of set myself up to be disappointed, and I don't want to be disappointed. I was let down enough with Wolfman, and hopefully this one gets handled in a way that I enjoy a bit more. It's all subjective though, so, take that with a grain of salt. Anyway, let's move on now. Next up at number 4, we have The People Under the Stairs. So this film was released in 1991, and in my opinion, it's one of Wes Craven's best movies. It's a bit of a cult classic and doesn't get talked about as much as some of his other movies, which kind of makes sense, I mean, his filmography includes A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, and those are 2 of the biggest horror movies of all time. So, like I said, it makes sense that this one doesn't get mentioned as much. But this movie tells the story of a young boy named Fool who sneaks into his landlord's house. Once inside the house, he finds that they've been keeping children under the stairs. They're mutilated and malnutritioned. And then it becomes a fight for Fool to escape the dangerous house. Look, it's a really good movie with a lot of really interesting themes. Wes Craven always has something to say with his films, and this one is no different. I think you could carry those themes over in a way that resonates with people today. They're still pertinent for sure. Now, I know Wes Craven's estate has started to listen to pitches for his work, and I truly hope that one day we can see someone honor him by bringing this story to life in a new way. I would really love to see it. A modern adaptation could utilize contemporary technology and storytelling techniques to enhance the original's eerie atmosphere while also deepening its exploration of the American dream gone wrong. By updating the narrative for a new generation, a remake could not only attract fans of the original, but also a broader audience and engage them in a conversation about these societal issues that still persist today. Coming in at number 3 is A Bucket of Blood. This 1959 horror comedy follows Walter Paisley, a struggling artist who murders a stray cat to create a gruesome masterpiece. This act, however, catapults him to fame, and Walter, driven by his desire for more recognition, begins a spree of killings, using victims as his artistic subjects. The film, with its dark humor, campy aesthetic, and satirical take on the art world, remains a cult classic even today. A remake of Bucket of Blood could breathe new life into this iconic film while retaining its core themes of ambition, delusion, and the dark side of creativity. The original film's low-budget charm, achieved through clever use of props and sets, could be updated with modern special effects, creating a visually striking and even more unsettling experience. The satire of the art world, which felt relevant in the 1950s, could be reimagined to reflect the more contemporary art scene of today, making the film even more pressing and relevant. Furthermore, a remake could explore the character of Walter in greater depth, delving into his motivations and the psychological toll of his actions. Mental health is more studied today for sure, so maybe they could use that somehow. The film could also offer a fresh perspective on the relationship between art and violence, examining how that pursuit of artistic recognition can blur the lines between reality and fantasy. I think a remake of A Bucket of Blood has the potential to be a darkly humorous and thought-provoking film, offering a modern take on this classic story that I would actually be really intrigued to see. Our number 2 entrant in this rumble is Christine. This film was released in 1983 and of course was directed by John Carpenter. It's based on Stephen King's novel of the same name, which is something again that we all know. But the story revolves around a 1958 Plymouth Fury named Christine, which possesses a malevolent spirit that influences its new owner, a shy teenager named Arnie Cunningham. As Arnie restores the car, he becomes increasingly obsessed with it, leading to a series of violent events that spiral out of control. The film blends supernatural horror with teenage angst, showcasing themes of obsession, identity, and the consequences of unchecked desire. Those themes are still very relevant in today's world, especially for young people. A remake could explore these themes in a contemporary context, perhaps reflecting modern issues such as social media influence, mental health, and the impact of technology on relationships. This could resonate with a new generation of viewers who may find parallels in their own lives. A new film could also bring fresh perspectives by incorporating a more diverse cast and exploring different cultural backgrounds. This could enrich the narrative and provide a broader range of experiences and emotions, making the story more relatable to a wider audience. There is a new film apparently in development already. Brian Fuller is attached to write and direct this new movie, and that's got me pretty excited, to be honest. There is potential for a unique vision that honors the original while also innovating the story. And to be honest, I'm actually really excited for this one. I really can't wait to see how they evolve this story. This remake of Christine could breathe new life into this classic tale, making it relevant for today's audience while preserving the essence of what made the original one so captivating. But what do you think about the potential for this remake? Are you excited to see how they reinterpret this iconic story? Our final entrant today is Sleepaway Camp. Also released in 1983, this movie is a cult classic slasher film that follows a group of teenagers at a summer camp who are terrorized by a mysterious killer. The film is known for its shocking twist ending and its surprisingly dark and disturbing tone for a movie aimed at a teen audience. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of lighthearted humor here too, but the overall tone of the film I find very dark and disturbing. Despite its cult status, Sleepaway Camp has aged poorly in some ways. The acting is uneven and the pacing can be very slow at times. However, the film's core concept, a camper with a dark secret, remains compelling, and its exploration of themes like identity, trauma, and revenge are still relevant today. And please don't take that to mean that I don't like this movie. I actually love it a lot. But a remake could modernize the film's aesthetic, improve the acting and pacing, and explore these themes in a more nuanced way. Obviously, they'd have to come up with a new twist for a few reasons. One, everybody knows the twist and you couldn't do it the same way again. Also, in today's climate, I feel like there would be more care put into it, which isn't a bad thing. And I just think that there are a number of different ways that they could get that shock value without doing it the same exact way. A modern sleepaway camp could also benefit from a more diverse cast and greater focus on the psychological aspects of the killer's motivations. By updating the film's tone and style while staying true to the core themes, a remake could attract a new audience while still appealing to fans of the original. I think this is probably the movie I feel is in most need of that modern remake. But there you have it. Those are my top 5 horror movies that deserve remakes. What did you think about my list? What movies would you include on yours? Put them down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you all. And while you're down there leaving a comment, go ahead and like the video too, so I know that you enjoyed it. If you're interested in Redcon 1 products, I have a discount code that you can use to save 20% off of your entire order. Be sure to check that out. You can also find all of my merchandise available at prowrestlingtees.com/AndrewDreamer or right under this video here. Also, head over to the WWH Patreon page, check that out, and consider becoming a member over there. Or if you would rather, you can become a member right here on YouTube. All of the links are in the description below. Don't forget to like this video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any of the action here at WWH. Now that we've discussed some potential remakes, what are some of my least favorite remakes? Luckily, you can find out by watching the video that is appearing on your screen now. And remember, in the squared circle of horror, there are no countouts for nightmares. My name is Andrew Dreamer, and this is Wrestling with Horror.